Hey.
All right, perfect. So thank you everyone for coming. We're just going to talk briefly about what the election, the results could mean, and get quickly into some forecasting. Going to go through our electoral map with you, so you can ultimately, and Shonda and I talked about pretty much everything but how we think that this is going to turn out. And obviously you can tell from her shirt which direction she's hoping it turns out. But we don't know ultimately what the final result is going to be from each other. We don't know how each other is going to, which way we're going to go. So with that being said, start off with a question for the co-host. What does this election, do you think, mean to voters voters who are voting for Biden? What does it mean for them?
So I think this election to those who are participating this go around, I think it's a shift in terms of who actually has a say in who governs us, in the decisions that are making. I feel like this was partially people deciding to show up and say that they're paying attention, that their concerns will be heard. I think those are the people that are showing up to vote for him. And also, I know that part of it is also individuals showing up that are saying that they don't want Trump in office. I'm not going to neglect the fact that that is part of the electorate that's voting for him. But I do feel a large part of it is that people are now wanting to own their voice, and they want their voices to be heard. They want their issues and concerns to be heard. So that's who I feel is showing up this election. And definitely a lot of younger people have shown up in comparison to other elections. It's
sure.
Yeah. What about you?
So young voters, I think, have shown up in larger numbers than elections past, but it's still pretty disappointing. I mean, it's still in the 30s. I don't understand why.
You said in the 30s?
Percent.
Okay,
got eligible 18 to 29-year-olds, and 35% have voted. And so that's, to me, that is a stain on the republic that it is just kind of mind-boggling and curious. And I'm not sure if there's really ever going to be a candidate that can account for that absence. So it's disappointing to know that this election, more than any, really has a direct impact on young folks and they're not participating. But to answer the original question, what do I think this election means to Biden voters? Because it's, I think, a very different answer for Trump voters. I think what this election means to Biden voters is, depending on melanin level, a return to normalcy. Because if you're lacking for melanin, normal has a different connotation. And
that's so true.
I think Biden voters recognize that what we've experienced the last 4 years is beyond traumatic. I think there are weekly traumas that are inflicted on the public, but also this allows us to restore a sense of goodwill in each other and in the global community, because we're 5% of the world's population, and yet it seems like we consume so much of the world's fodder. And that's, I think, a direct reflection of failures in kind of the infrastructure of our government. We should be leading, and we fashion ourselves as the leaders of the world, but we've not really done anything in terms of our behavior to deserve that title. So I think this election can allow the country to restore broken relationships abroad. It can allow us to mend some of the lack of trust in government structures like law enforcement and restore some faith in systems and government, and can, I think, bring back some legitimate hope. I mean, people all often criticized Obama for his hope in change rhetoric, right?
Yeah.
Sarah Palin, hopey changey. Well, hopey changey was good. Hopey changey was loving. Hopey changey allowed us to envision a world beyond what we could have imagined. And it was promising. It was beautiful.
And I think too, it allowed us to all talk to one another. What I look forward to is being able to be informed, like, and actually trust that what information is distributed is accurate, and not have to question the legitimacy of the information, or if we're being told everything. I mean, I know some things are left out, for security reasons, but we just shouldn't have to second guess the information that we're receiving. And so part of it too, I think people are voting to actually say that they want to protect they want to protect democracy, they want to protect the systems that we have in place, but also it's to restructure the way that things have been put in place so that they can be, so that we can actually improve those things.
Yeah.
And because on the flip side of it is that in 2016, the people that showed up in large numbers to vote for Trump, that's in fact what a lot of people said that they were voting for. And I know it was other things as well. Some of the rhetoric that he used that has attacked other groups, like the racism. I know that's part of it, but I do know that there were a lot of people that resonated with him that do not trust government, and because he ran with the slogan "Drain Swamp." And so part of it, I believe, now, so now it's interesting to see like what'll happen, what will happen, especially when they begin to talk to the people, like talk to the different groups of people that did participate in this election. So I look forward to those conversations.
Sorry, so if you're just joining us, we're discussing what this election means to us and what we think it means to Biden voters. And we'd love to hear, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, put it in the comments, and I can show it on the screen, what your thoughts are on what the election means to you and to maybe your friends and family. In IG, we can read those off, obviously. So what does it mean to you? And then we're going to talk about before the half hour is over. I know it's truth hour today. It's going to be truth half hour. So we can and we'll be jumping back in periodically throughout the night, but we want to be able to watch some of these returns. And if anyone don't get overexcited about the Kentucky numbers. Kentucky's blue right now, but that's only 25% of the vote.
Okay, Cliff.
Huge.
Let people. But you know what, though? I do want to say, like, allow people to have a moment, because this has been stressful as, I don't know who's watching. This has been stressful as hell, okay? I'm stressed out. I can only imagine how everyone else is feeling. So I love you too, Liz. But I just say, like, allow people to take in this moment, because this is going to be a waiting game. And I hope people realize that, they're not calling the election tonight. So Cliff, let people hold on to a little bit of something.
Okay. Well, I didn't want people to start seeing some returns and say, oh, Kentucky, Biden flipped Kentucky. Well, no, let's hold our horses. There's still 75% of the vote left to be counted, but it is blue at the moment.
Right.
I love this comment we got from Rosie. It means we can start fixing 4 years of Trump mess instead of 8. And that's true. I mean, that's another, what does this election mean to Biden voters? It means that the country does not have to have continual fear and just damage and degradation of our systems for another 4 years. So that's a good point.
I agree. And the other part too, I think it's us, like the US, not constantly having to play defense. Because right now I feel as if that's what we've been doing the past 4 years, and maybe long. And maybe somebody would argue even longer, but it's tiring. And also, I think people showed up as well because this election, it impacts the next 15, 20 years in so many ways, on a local and federal level. I mean, already we saw last week we have a new Supreme Court justice, so that was just one step. So I do think that people are paying attention, and I actually look forward to I look forward to the next midterm election, so in 2022, because I think that one thing we should hold ourselves accountable to show up for midterm elections and for people to become better informed. And also, speaking of being informed, Cliff and I had a conversation last night about LA Times. And part of it is because a lot of people, to become better informed, this is the first time I've had a lot of people contact me asking me questions about different ballot measures. And I mean, Cliff and I, we've talked about this stuff for the last few election cycles, but I don't know about you, Cliff, but I do feel as if more people have reached out to me and have asked for resources about where can I find this? Like, how do I find my polling location? How do I find out what's on my ballot? And part of it, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. But part of it is people would like to stay informed, but you don't have like one source or like two main sources that people are aware of where they can just find information. You shouldn't have to pay for information you should have to pay for the information to know what's on your ballot. And this came up because I had asked Cliff, because Cliff did a lot of breakdown on a few weeks ago on one of our episodes. And so I asked him, like, could he share like what was helpful to him so I could share it with another friend. And when he sent me the link for LA Times, which it looked like it was really extensive, it was great, but then they wanted you to pay for access. And those are obstacles to me that push people away.
The media is the one universal source where people should be able to access, at the very least, information related to their government. And why the LA Times would choose the propositions, like information related to the propositions, as a gateway to getting more subscribers and to increasing their profits is sad. And that's kind of just what it is. And so, no, I appreciate you calling out the LA Times and like bringing notice, because I should be able to type in LA Times, California ballot measures without having to subscribe or pay a fee in order to access that document. It's a travesty. We have young folks who are trying to get involved, trying to become educated. And if the LA Times, you would think, would want to be the first point of access for them. And because they could become lifelong subscribers after that. But with that experience, if I'm a young person, I'm thinking, I'm not going to the LA Times. I'm going to go to whatever source allowed me access for free.
Yeah. Seriously.
All right. Well, the moment has come. So this is, I'm going to just be showing this. This is currently the brown states, you can see, has the brown states are the battleground states. What we assume is probably folks don't know the result. I'm going to fill this in and talk it through. I didn't know what you wanted to do. Like, I do a state, you do the same state, or just go through like half and then switch off.
Okay. Yeah, we could. Well,
there was two options there.
You
want to go state by state?
Yes, let's go state by state, and we're going to discuss more of the battleground, right? Yeah.
So I'm going to start with a major player, and I'm not going to go Florida first, but I'm going to do two southern states, Georgia and North Carolina.
Okay, Georgia, North Carolina, got it.
Georgia in North Carolina. Georgia is a state that has been exciting
Democratic voters, because it appears, based on the numbers, that because of the Senate race, and also because of Stacey Abrams and her work to kind of work with folks, getting folks out to vote, that may be a state that Trump can be vulnerable. It has historically been a red state. I mean, we're talking generations. And this is the closest the Dems have been. I mean, Joe Biden is polling within the margin of error in Georgia. And just to hear those words, on election day, the Democratic candidate for president is polling within the margin of error, which means, I mean, it can go either way. Is he still down? Yeah. Yes. I mean, he's down a percentage point. John Ossoff, the Democratic candidate for Senate, is polling dead even. They're 48-48. So I imagine whoever wins the Senate race will ultimately, that party will also win the presidency. And my guess is that Donald Trump, despite his incompetence, will hold on to Georgia, and that will stay in the red column. So I've updated that. And also, I know you're in North Carolina, and I know you want to. I know you hope and pray. And they have a Democratic governor, which also should give Republicans pause. And they've had to spend money there because Biden's been able to close the gap. I don't have hope. Again, I moved those two states over to the Republican, to the red column. So I have Georgia and North Carolina going red.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So for those two states, that's interesting. You gave all the reasons. You gave the reasons that for Georgia that would have made me believe that you would have marked that as a win.
No, it means that the tide is turning. I think Georgia, within an election cycle.
Got it. Okay. So I actually, because of
they've done a lot in Georgia. They spent a lot of money there. They've done, there's been a lot of outreach in Georgia this election cycle. So I actually put that in the blue. Of the toss-ups, I actually put Georgia blue. For North Carolina, because they have a Democrat as a governor, there's been a lot of work. I am really holding on to hope here in North Carolina. Oh gosh, it's, you know how they have like it's really blue and then they have like that light blue, the Carolina blue. I want to put that as leaning because again, they've spent a lot of money. Trump has done a lot of campaigning here throughout this year of the election and definitely in the last month. So that's the only reason. It's not the only reason. Part of it is that his base, they show up on election day, but a lot of people have done early voting here in North Carolina. So I don't know. I'm gonna mark that as a leaning.
Leaning which way?
Leaning blue.
Oh, okay. So you have it blue. All right. So I'm gonna go out west now. I'm gonna go out west before I make it to the Rust Belt.
Okay.
Because the Rust Belt's gonna be quick for me because I kind of have that as a block. So Arizona, that's a state with a highly, highly, highly competitive U.S. Senate race between former Navy. He was not a Navy SEAL. He served in the U.S. Navy. Mark Kelly, he's the husband of a former U.S. Congresswoman, Gabrielle Giffords, and he's an astronaut who was in space. He served at the space station he was there for like 2 years. Just a very talented, all-around talented, thoughtful individual. And he's up against the incumbent who was actually never elected into office. She was appointed, Martha McSally, who has been a staunch supporter of Trump after initially being a staunch critic of Trump and had a complete 180 after the guy won, and has been very supportive of his policies and his rhetoric for quite some time. And Mark Kelly is polling not just ahead, but by big numbers. And so this, to me, is Arizona has been a state that the Dems have wanted back in their corner since Clinton left office. Clinton was the last Dem to win Arizona. He spoke to kind of that Sun Belt area, right? That Sun Belt part of the country. And although I actually do think Martha McSally is toast in the Senate, I have Arizona going red. I've got Arizona in the Republican column. So, yeah. So now it brings the score for me to 233 Biden, 167 Trump. And I'm going to do Iowa quickly. To me, Iowa voters are similar to Florida voters. I mean, they're not very trustworthy, and they've not made very good decisions in the last couple elections. I'm just going to chalk that up right now and not waste any time because I got not a ton of respect for Iowa voters. Yeah, they're going to stay red, and Joni Ernst is going to win that election. She's going to win. She's going to retain her seat in the U.S. Senate. So I've got Iowa. So far for me, I've got Georgia and North Carolina Republican. Trump's going to win. Arizona, I have Trump winning, and Iowa, I have Trump winning.
Okay, so I agree with you about Iowa. I left Iowa's red. I think what's important for people to understand is when you have strong name recognition from your senators.
Can I stop you real quick? Sorry, I forgot to say this when I was done. So right now we've transitioned. We're actually giving we're doing forecasting. If you've just joined us, I'm not going to keep putting the banner up, but we're talking about the election. We're going to forecast. We're showing our maps and essentially giving our predictions at the end when we finish our maps. We'd love to hear from you. I read a comment earlier in the chat. Someone said, I have Florida going blue. And they said, yeah, for sure, Georgia going blue. So tell us which way you think the states are going and why you think they're going that way. You see this comment that there's no audio? Somebody else, let me know, do you have any audio on Facebook? That would not be good.
Yeah.
All right, pick up.
Okay. I don't know. All
right. Oh, you know what? Okay, I might have to just use this audio again like the last time. It's fine. We can keep going.
Okay.
How's the audio now? Is the audio? Someone will have to let me know in the comments. I hope Gracie or somebody's watching. Yeah. Oh, because we started early. It's fine. Yeah. No audio on YouTube?
Oh.
How about now? I changed I have no audio. I have audio on IG. IG is good because we're using our headphones. But what about YouTube and Facebook? Got slow responders. It's like the LAPD. I said it.
You did.
This is the first city I lived in. You call 911 and you get put on hold. First city I ever lived in 8 states. You call 911, get put on hold. It's insane. Every time.
Okay.
We could do it live. I could put them on. Yeah. A different conversation, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to assume we don't have audio and I don't know. It's fine.
Okay. So do you want to keep going? Because I see we're.
Yeah, keep going. We'll finish the map. This is it. And then we're
okay. Yeah. So for Iowa, I agree. And what I was trying to say is that when you have strong name recognition for your senators, governors in your state, it's very hard then to beat incumbents. And so I would say Iowa would stay red because Senator Ernst is well respected. She's not divisive. She works across the aisle. So I think that might be challenging I think it might be challenging in that state. And again, I'm with Cliff. Iowa, we'll talk about that later, about their caucuses and all of that. I don't trust them. So I would just say that will stay red. Florida.
You talked about Florida, right, Cliff?
No, I was waiting because it's the most important.
Oh, okay. With Arizona, I'm leaning towards blue. I do think that Mark Kelly can win. I have that leaning blue on mine. So
okay,
we'll okay, let's go to the next one.
You know why I had no audio on YouTube and Facebook?
Oh my God.
I was on mute and I can't see it because the phone's blocking it. So they could hear you this whole time. But the phone, there's no other place for me to put the phone, so I would have no way of seeing that. But I saw that pink light up. Like, why is it pink down there? I was on mute. Oh my God. I blame Trump.
And here we were focused on having our earbuds in.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, that's really bad. Now you guys can hear me. Sorry about that.
Oh.
I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of
fun.
editing tonight.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I hate doing that. I'm going to have to put it over. All right. So let's move over to Texas. And then it's going to be pretty Texas and then Florida and then the Rust Belt.
Mm-hmm.
So Texas is an interesting toss-up this year because similar to Georgia, this is a historically Republican state, but the Democratic candidate is polling within the margin of error. And early vote totals show a lead, similar to Kentucky, for the Democratic candidate. So is Texas a legitimate toss-up state? And the answer is yes.
Yes,
in the future.
It is. No.
Texas is not a toss-up state. If you're a Dem and you're trying to be hopeful, hey, more power to you. I can't live my life like that. Texas, and I'm going to make this dark red because ain't no way. Biden ain't winning Texas, y'all. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. It's going red. So I have it 233 Biden, 211 Trump after Texas, and then we'll go to Florida next. What do you have, Texas?
Texas.
So if anybody follows me on social media, you guys know I go hard for Texas. I'm so excited for the turnout in Texas because every election, there's hopefuls like myself. We never want Texas to be this. We never want them to be counted out. And I think that that's happened for so long. Honestly, had we not have seen, I would say it's a few things. Had we have not seen the number of early vote turnout, like the large number, I think we would not have seen them campaigning and like sending surrogates into Texas from the campaign. I think that's one part of it. And the other thing is too, all of the tactics that were being used to throw out ballots, removing ballot boxes.
Yeah.
Early on, during the early voting in Texas, and then just recently the decision that was made to actually count those 127,000 ballots. It's a lot to be said in terms of what we'll see in Texas. So like you said, Cliff, maybe it's not now. I hope it's now, and that I think that they'll still win big in Texas. And when I say win big, I'm saying like on the local level. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there, and I'm hopeful for MJ to win the Senate race. So I marked it as blue.
Texas? No. You're not. You have Texas. You have Biden winning Texas.
Cliff.
Are you serious? So you got a Biden landslide if you have him winning Texas.
I left it as leaning red. Calm down.
Oh, okay.
Calm down.
Oh my God. I know we can talk about these, but my goodness.
Well, you know what? Because I'm trying to put out some positive energy. But
we gotta be realistic here.
But I want to be realistic as well. So that's why I said I put it as leaning red.
Okay, all right.
Calm.
So this is the whole, and for folks, so Florida, and you probably wondered, like, why do people, for those who haven't been following, they've been intentionally trying to avoid these conversations, this media coverage. The reason that there's so much attention paid on Florida is this, plain and simple. Trump cannot win the presidency without Florida. And that may seem kind of bombastic, but that's the reality. Because if he loses Florida, he would have to sweep every other toss-up state. And that's just an unrealistic mountain to overcome. So that's why Florida is so important. And that's why I'm also not going to do Florida right now. I'm going to go up to the look,
Cliff, you will not push this till 8 o'clock.
All right. So I'll do Florida.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
Florida is a state that has tried to suppress the votes of formerly incarcerated even after a referendum that passed. And with the help of former New York City Mayor Bloomberg, professional athlete LeBron James, and several others, they went in and donated millions of dollars to help these formerly incarcerated people have their voting rights restored, because Florida passed a law, more voter suppression, passed a law saying if you're incarcerated and you still owe fines, you can't vote. That's a poll tax. Anyhow, they went in, so LeBron and some of these other famous and very, very wealthy people donated and allowed and helped restore the voting rights of, like, we're talking tens of thousands of formerly incarcerated. Former President Barack Obama has been in Florida, kind of barnstorming the state. He did 3 outdoor rallies, really popular. There's kind of made for TV moments that we've seen on every social media site. I mean, he's been brilliant there. We've seen Kamala Harris go there. And Florida is a state that went blue twice when Obama was in office. I mean, he won that both times.
Yeah.
But Biden ain't Obama. Florida's going red. And that's what Trump's going to need to even stay alive tonight. I've got Trump at 233.
I'm telling y'all, this is great. We're not on national TV.
So far, of the top 6 states, I have North Carolina red, Georgia red, Florida red, Arizona red, Iowa red.
You have every toss-up state as red.
So far.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. So, do you want to talk about your other states before I go?
You just knock it out?
Yeah.
All right. So the rest of the states, if you're looking at my map, is the Rust Belt, pretty much. Although Hillary failed to go to Wisconsin, and that was part of the reason they just felt abandoned by her, and she lost the state, which was a loss for the Dems for the first time in generations, I don't foresee Trump being able to repeat, especially with the continued rising cases in Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin voters are going to punish him for his failure to adequately respond to the pandemic. And I have Wisconsin going back blue. And that brings the count now 243 Biden, 240 Trump. I also have Michigan. I also have, not pessimistic, realistic. I also have Michigan, which has again been a historic blue state. I mean, we're talking blue collar. We're talking support for union workers. I mean, those are democratic values. Union workers typically always go with the Democrats, and I see them returning. It's another state Obama visited recently, trying to get the get out the vote message out early. I see Michigan going back blue. I think Biden's going to recover that state. Now, the last 2 in the Rust Belt, so this puts the count, because I have Michigan and Wisconsin blue. This puts the count, Biden 259, Trump 240. Major states, similar to Florida. No Republican has ever won the presidency without Ohio. And if Trump is to be reelected, he has to win Ohio, and I have him doing just that. Ohio voters are not going to go against the president. They have seen improvements over the past 4 years, and there's a part of that electorate that he appeals to for reasons that we don't have time to get into. I have Ohio in the red columns. That's 259 Biden, 258 Trump, and that leaves the all important. I'll get to these. So Maine, I have 1 district going to Trump. And I actually am flipping. I meant to say this earlier, even though it's not a toss-up. I think the meme's wrong. I think the numbers, if you see them fluctuating, I have New Hampshire flipping red. I have Trump winning New Hampshire for the first time in a long time. So I do have New Hampshire flipping. So that puts the count Trump 262. Remember, you got that 270 to win. I have Trump 262, Biden 255, and that leaves just Pennsylvania on my map. IG, YouTube, that leaves just Pennsylvania. Oh, that did not help. And with the visits to Pennsylvania, the importance on Pennsylvania, I think that's going to be a close, tough race. There's been a lot of early votes. There might be some suppression efforts.
Might be. There are.
There might be some suppression efforts. But for those of you that are Democratic voters, and really it's going to come down to these states that we've discussed, I think after all the votes are cast and counted in Pennsylvania, similar to how excited we were when we saw this headline, we're going to see something like this for President-elect Biden, because Joe Biden is going to win Pennsylvania, put him over the top, and I have the final score 275 262, Joe Biden, President-elect of the United States of America. And that's my map.
All right. Well, Cliff, you I'm trying to think where to start. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up to Wisconsin and Michigan. So I actually marked Wisconsin as going blue.
Okay.
And for some of the same reasons, things that we had saw early on with COVID, and then they actually had just a lot of the things that happened with COVID and then voting during their primary season. And a lot of things at the local level, I would say Wisconsin will go blue. I actually believe Michigan will go blue. There's been a lot of efforts spent on both sides because Trump was just there yesterday as well, campaigning. But I know that the governors have been doing a lot of work in that area together, like these bordering states. So
Yep.
I actually feel as if Michigan can go blue. Ohio, I would agree. I don't see Ohio. I would be shocked. I don't see Ohio going red, even though the previous governor, who I like, Governor Kasich, even though he actually endorsed Biden. What? You forgot about him, huh?
Yeah, I was thinking Indiana, so I was like, Pence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Indiana's definitely not turning. But again, on the local level, I do think that Indiana could, there could be some changes there. But yeah, overall, Indiana, red. Ohio, red. Yeah. And then in terms of, what was the next state that you had went over?
PA.
Pennsylvania.
The caboodle.
Yeah,
but for you,
yeah.
PA doesn't matter because if you have him winning, you have Biden winning Florida.
Yes.
So he's already
Biden
over 270 on your
Yeah, he's already on mine.
Okay.
Yeah, on mine, we don't need it. So, but however, I still think it'd be great for him to win Florida and Pennsylvania.
On IG?
What? What I see?
Ohio's going blue. No, not in this cycle.
I don't see
On
that
IG,
one.
not on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so Ohio's going to go blue. That's it.
Please come back because if in fact they do, are you an Ohio voter? Whoever wrote that?
They're right here in Southern California.
Okay. Well, hey, maybe they know something I don't know, but
No,
yeah, okay. Jeez, what?
it's just
All
over.
right.
It's just over optimism.
All right. But in terms of what you said about New Hampshire, I wanted to know more about that. Why do you feel New Hampshire would go red?
So New Hampshire is a pretty conservative state. They voted blue because of the influence from Vermont, from neighboring states. And if you recall, I remember when I was an undergrad and I was working on behalf of Governor. Oh goodness, that's aging. What is his name? Anyhow, wow.
Was he a Dem?
Black Massachusetts governor. He ran for president for like 2 weeks. But anyhow, Bill Richardson was running for president, and he did a private house gathering in New Hampshire, and I was able to attend.
Oh.
And so I've talked to New Hampshire voters. New Hampshire voters are pretty conservative, and Trump's message resonated with them 4 years ago. Hillary didn't win that going away, right? It was a battle. She had to return for 4 electoral votes. I see that flipping this time around. I think they're going to do it. Yeah,
that's a good point. I remember his name too. Man, that's gonna bother me.
It's gonna bother me.
Yeah.
But, so again, my final tally is 275 Biden, 263 Trump. I have New Hampshire flipping to Republican. So of the toss-up states, I have Arizona staying Republican, Texas staying Republican, Georgia staying Republican, North Carolina staying Republican, Ohio staying Republican, Florida staying Republican, Biden flipping Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So Biden's going to take back the Rust Belt with the exception of Ohio, and that's going to be his path to victory. And that's the way I see it.